Welcome back into another episode of the Sports Show here on WBON TV and also streaming live on WEKY, WIRV, and WKXO. We are here with my co-host right now during this quarantine time, Jamie Boggs. And Jamie, always fun to get together, my man. Just first of all, I wanted to talk to you about how you and the family are doing. Another week has gone by and we're still, staying safe at home. It has been kind of an interesting week. We've still without sports, but we did have the documentary last night, the Michael Jordan documentary that came out on ESPN, The Last Dance. Just talk about what kind of you and the family are doing and spending some more time at home.
Yeah, I mean, you see behind me kind of what we're doing. We're out here. Thankfully, the it was good over the weekend. We were able to get outside, throw some baseballs around. Not getting the pool yet, unfortunately. But, yeah, the Jordan documentary was supposed to come out later this summer, and they moved it up specifically because people are stuck, and it gives us all something to do. So, yeah, outside during the day, watching Michael Jordan yell at people at night. What about you?
So about the same. It's been a fun weekend. Got to, as you said, spend some time outside. It wasn't hot, but it wasn't cold. It was almost, as far as the temperature, really comfortable outside.
Yeah.
But again, the documentary last night, I mean, it's just I didn't remember all this stuff that was going on. That's what I was talking to Coach Morgerson about, the model coach who we'll have on later on in the show. I didn't remember that Jerry Krause, wanted to pretty much end the dynasty. And I've seen comparisons. So, with the Space Jam movie that came out that Jordan was, obviously a big part of. I've seen people comparing Jerry Krause to the guy that was the manager of the Monstars. And,
Right.
I mean, you can really see the comparisons now. And Jordan just poked so much fun of him. Like, it was really interesting to watch that last night, those first two episodes, and kind of get an inside look at what Scottie Pippen, kind of how he was brought up. I didn't know all that stuff about him. So as a sports fan, especially with someone, and you as well, probably just dying for some sports right now, that was a much-needed 2 hours last night on ESPN.
And I'm a little older than you, and I think I don't know that we knew a lot. I'm also a lot better looking. I don't know that we knew all that stuff as it was happening. There wasn't social media. There weren't a billion beat writers from 1,000 blogs all the time. I don't know that we knew. Like, I think we knew there were problems with Phil Jackson and that he was going to be ending in a year. But we didn't know the rest of the stuff. We didn't know everything that was said. I don't know what kind of his perspective of breaking up a dynasty right in the middle of it. It just, like, looking back at it now, it just seems crazy because you think they probably could have won a couple more.
Yeah.
Or at least competed for a couple more.
And with the way that team was put together, I mean, they were, you had the rebounder, the guy that did all the dirty stuff with Dennis Rodman. You had Scottie Pippen, who could defend or, could be your secondary scorer. You had shooters. You had, obviously, the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, doing his thing. So I think that team could have been more than what they were, and they were already, 6 championships in, 8 years or so, 6 and 7 years. So that team was just seeing that little inside look really put some stuff into perspective last night.
There's also a lot of what-if stuff within there. Like, if he hadn't played baseball for 18 months, I don't think they win 8 straight. But so what happens in those 2 years? Do they just win? They end up winning 5 in a row and then breaking up? Do they win 6 in a row? Do they lose to the Rockets there? I don't know. But there's so many what-ifs, and I'm interested to see the rest of this play out, see if they get into any of that.
I was a fan of Hakeem too, so I was kind of glad to see Hakeem, with the career that he had, be able to win those championships and do what he did as well. Although, it would have been really interesting to see the Bulls and the Rockets go at it in the finals. Like, those two teams would be really fun to watch.
We talk in Kentucky a lot about how Sam Bowie was the first pick over Jordan, or picked before Jordan, but the first pick was Elijah Wan. Like, he was going to be the first pick no matter what. Jordan, while looking back now, it's a steal at number 3, but back then you didn't know that.
Yeah, it's funny, the Trailblazers, they selected Bowie over Jordan. They also selected Greg Oden several years later over Kevin Durant. It's kind of the same scenario played. Obviously, Durant's not Michael Jordan, but he's still pretty daggone good.
They love giants with leg problems that aren't actually ever going to play in the NBA, apparently.
Yeah, so let's talk some local stuff. Obviously, we're going to have our model draft coming up later on in the show. We do want to say thank you to our sponsors, the Law Office of Patrick O'Neill. If you need legal advice, make sure to reach out to the Law Office of Patrick O'Neill at 606-666-2990. He is located in Jackson, but he serves all over central and eastern Kentucky. And our newest sponsor during this quarantine time, CT Diesel Performance. Listen, you're still going to need your car worked on during this time that we're staying at home. If you have an issue, make sure to reach out to CT Diesel Performance. Chris Thorne is a Berea guy. He played sports at Madison Southern. He will take care of you. He will take care of your vehicle, and he will not do anything to your vehicle that he would not do to his own. So make sure to check out CT Diesel Performance online at ctdiesel.us. Jamie, the news coming out, we kind of have already been going over this the last few weeks, but now it is official. Richards, Montgomery, Hagens, Maxey, and Quickly are all putting their name into the NBA draft, and none of those guys will be coming back. That's the bad news. The good news is we've gotten a couple of transfers that have already said they are committing to Kentucky, the Toppin kid from Rhode Island and the guy from Creighton. What do you see just how this offseason has already played out for the Wildcats?
I'm sure they saw the writing on the wall, but I think in some ways the coaching staff has been surprised that everybody's gone. Because it's not that they didn't recruit big guys, but they obviously next year the shelf's kind of empty. So they're going the transfer route. Jacob Toppin, so here's my biggest problem with Kentucky fans, okay? And I am one. We get all these 5-star players, they're one and done, and people complain because they don't stay 3 or 4 years and develop, and we don't get to know them like their family. Then we bring in a kid, a 3-star like Jacob Toppin, and yes, he's a transfer, but he's a project. Like, He's going to be here for 3 years. And then people are like, oh, why did we go get a 3-star? Why couldn't we get somebody better? There's no pleasing people.
Yeah. And I've always said that.
Yeah, and so they're going after, I think his name's Matt Harms from Purdue, the 7'3" guy. I mean, it's hard to pass up somebody at 7'3", whether they're great or not. But I don't know if they're going to get him. They expected him to sign or to commit this weekend, and he didn't. So I think that's probably a bad sign for Kentucky getting him. I'm sure there are other guys in the works, but we don't know who those people are going to be. My favorite thing that happened last week, there was a meme of somebody put Keon Brooks's head on Will Smith on the last scene of Fresh Prince. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Just looking around, nobody's there. So he, retweeted it and said, oh, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And then Kentucky basketball retweeted and said, helps on the way or something like that. And I don't know if they were talking about the incoming recruits or if they have a line on a few more transfers. I do think that was before Toppin committed. So maybe they just know they're getting more than what we know right now.
Well, I think with the way that this team is put together right now, they're going to be small, but they might be a team that we haven't seen with Calipari before. They're going to have to play up and down a lot more than most Calipari teams have played. So unless something happens, I mean, even the kid from Purdue, if he comes, I still feel like he might be a guy that might come off the bench and they might just go with this young athletic team. Not sure what – I mean, obviously Cal is a lot better at that stuff than I am, so not sure how he will put it together. But I think that this team, the way it's put together as of now, will be a team that runs up and down the floor, might even play some really intense pressure defense. Not sure if they have full court press because Cal doesn't do that a whole lot. But I think with the way this team's put together, it could be a very exciting team to watch going into next season.
They really could. And I think people don't know what we're getting in BJ Boston. I think he's going to be the big star that we haven't had in quite some time. We expected Keldon Johnson to be awesome. We expected Tyrese Maxey to score 25 a game. He didn't. We expected Khalil Whitney to be that small forward that we've needed and haven't gotten. I think BJ Boston is going to be all those things, and he's going to be the most, prolific player that we've had since Karl Anthony Towns.
We've been doing these drafts, Jamie, over the last couple of weeks, and maybe as we get into some of these teams down the line, we're going to do some girls drafts as well over the next couple of weeks. We might do a Kentucky draft for guys that should have came back to Kentucky, because there's going to be a lot of guys that's
a good point. Yeah.
You look at some of these guys that we talked about it again over the last few weeks, just keep harping on it, but it's the truth. And again, every mock draft I look at, EJ Montgomery's name is nowhere to be seen in the first or second round.
Right.
Quickly's draft stock is mid-20s in the first round to late in the second round. So all these guys, they're up in the air. And I've even seen Maxey, who I thought was a lottery pick, in the late 20s. So,
yep.
Nobody's for sure going to be a first-round pick. As far as maybe making that big money, Maxey's the only guy I said it's a lock to go in the first round. But according to some of these mock drafts, he could be a late first-round pick.
He could, and that's it's very disappointing to see all those guys go, but also to think about this team. I feel like early in November we thought they stunk, and I know that's usually the cycle, right?
Yeah.
Like they come out early, they show they're young, and they stink, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, this will never work," and then by March we're ready to go. But this team legitimately looked bad. The back-to-back losses to Ohio State and Utah, that wasn't just growing pains. Like they weren't good at that time, but they ended up being really good. And you've got the SEC Player of the Year and Emmanuel Quickly, and you've got Tyrese Maxey, who blew up Madison Square Garden the first game and really did well when the bright lights were there. Nick Richards, one of the best big men in the country, and still none of them are the top guys in the draft. That's just not typical for Cal teams.
Well, to me, I think it shows the job that Calipari did with this team. He meshed it well together. There was no superstars on this team. Maxey was a good guy to have as the top scorer. Quickly, obviously, came on out of nowhere into this season. Richards took a huge leap from his sophomore to his junior year. So I think you have to give Cal the most credit. But to me, I think the downfall of this team, even though they were ready to make a big run, was the not so projections or not the leap that was taken by Higgins and Montgomery. I feel like those two guys, had they done or had they lived up to the hype and the potential that they had coming into the season, this team should have and could have been as hyped or as good as we thought they could be the entire year. Those two guys, I feel like, kind of let this team down as far as the way they played. And now they're going into the NBA draft with, again, kind of an unknown. And those two guys are the two guys that I feel like are the biggest unknown of the five guys entering the draft for Kentucky, because we don't know where they're going, how they fit, what kind of role they might have. I don't see any of these guys other than Maxey having a big-time role on a team next year. And he's even a guy that I could see getting minutes off the bench in a limited fashion and maybe some games not even getting in the game.
I think he may be the only guy that ends up on a roster next year.
Yeah.
If Quickly and Higgins and Richards all get drafted, I think they all stand a chance of ending up in the G League. And I don't know, it's hard to watch when you think about Higgins. Even last year, early on, he came in, he locked down North Carolina, what was his name, Kobe White.
Yeah.
He locked him down. And then by the end of the season, he regressed so much. And he really, in my opinion, if he had not they let Quickly run the point in the tournament, I think they make it to the Final Four and beat Auburn. He had so many awful turnovers, and he didn't defend well in that game. And then it was kind of the same this season. He got worse and worse offensively as the year went on, taking more risks, taking more ill-advised shots. So to see him regress like that, I think he would have had to be able to go to the combine to do some of those 5-on-5, 3-on-3 scrimmages and show that he is a next-level defender to get a shot. And he's not able to do that. So I think the fact that he can't go exhibit that is more reason that he should have come back.
And another thing, too, name a point guard or any kind of guard in the NBA right now that gets big minutes that can't shoot. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I mean, there's
nobody.
And, okay, you can maybe say Russell Westbrook, but Westbrook is so good and so strong and powerful at getting to the rim. Higgins doesn't display anything like that. So, again, I just don't know what kind of role he's going to have. The good news for these guys is this draft is not very good. This draft class, yep. I mean, there's not one guy that's a Zion Williamson or an Anthony Davis or a John Wall. There's not one of those guys that you can pinpoint and say he's going to be a star. There's maybe 10 to 15 guys that can come in next year and have an impact off the bench or be a good role player for a team. But I don't think there's anybody that you can look at and say this guy is going to be an absolute stud in the NBA. I think Anthony Edwards can be good. I think Wiseman can be good, especially if either one of those guys end up on the Golden State Warriors team. They kind of just reload going into next year. But I don't see anybody being that guy that you're going to say he is going to be the it guy in the NBA.
And that's going to tell a lot, too, because you had LaMelo Ball, and then I can't think of his name. There's somebody else that went to Australia with him.
Yeah, RJ Hampton.
Yeah, Hampton. So two guys went to Australia. Anthony Edwards obviously went to Georgia and just stunk it up. Wiseman ended up leaving school. And those are the top guys in the class. How are the alternative routes going to play off, A, on when they get drafted, and B, are they going to come in and shock us and be special just because we haven't seen them play? Maybe they are. Or is it going to show that the development you get in college is better than what you're going to get overseas? And the whole G League thing is a completely different conversation. But it'll be interesting to see how those Australian players work out.
Yeah, that's true. We'll talk about the G League thing here in a few minutes, but so that's the news coming out for Kentucky. They're going to get a couple of transfers, guard from Creighton, and I guess the top and kid from Rhode Island is more of a three, more of a wing player.
Yeah, he's a forward, yeah.
So we'll see how those things shake out. Again, we are sponsored by CT Diesel Performance in Richmond. You can give them a call. Check out CT Diesel Performance online at ctdiesel.us. Chris Thorne is a Berea guy. He will take excellent care of you and your vehicle, and he'll also come pick your vehicle up, especially right now during this time. It is, for maybe some older folks that don't want to get out. He will come pick your vehicle up. He will go work on it, bring it back to you. That is CT Diesel Performance, and you can check them out online at ctdiesel.us. We are also brought to you by the Law Office of Patrick O'Neill. Make sure to give the Law Office of Patrick O'Neill a call at 606-666-2990 for any legal information or any legal questions that you might have. He is located in Jackson, but he serves all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. We'll take a commercial break and come back. We are live on the sports show on WBONTV.com.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
So you guys have shown us a lot of love on Facebook and, of course, our website at WBONTV.com. So we're going to let you in on a little secret, our YouTube channel. It's where all the local stories are posted first for news, and you can even catch the live stream of any of your local high school sports on there as well. Be sure to subscribe, as well as clicking on the little bell for notifications. For when we post a video go live, you'll be the first to know. And don't be afraid to share and like a video. It really helps us out here at the studio to bring you the best in local news. And of course on Facebook, hit the See First button so we come up first when you're scrolling through your timeline.
American Pool and Spa wants you to swim and relax, and they're taking the proper precautions to keep their customers and employees safe. For pool supplies, visit AmericanPoolandSpaKY.com and click on the Drop Click tab to shop online for curbside service or free local delivery within 15 miles. If you're interested in pool installation, American Pool and Spa in Richmond can set up a Zoom call for a virtual consultation. Stay safe and enjoy your time at home with help from American Pool and Spa in Richmond.
At CT Diesel Performance, they promise not to do anything to your vehicle that they wouldn't do to their own. Chris Thorne and the gang don't just work on diesel vehicles either. They also repair all auto gas vehicles and are fully serviced and ready to take on any job. Nothing is too big or too small for CT Diesel Performance. Located just off Exit 97, CT Diesel can even come get your car if you have a problem while driving down I-75. CT Diesel Performance in Richmond and at ctdiesel.us. Patriots. And first, Coach, before we get into kind of what you're doing right now, let's talk about your anniversary that just came up. You've now been the head coach at Model for a year. I just saw on your Twitter feed that that just anniversary happened. So talk about that and just kind of how the first year went.
Yeah, it's crazy to think how fast it went. It's been the stuff we've had go on the last year and how fast. And I think it was a year ago that I was interviewing, and I looked back at the pictures. It was May 15th that I got announced and met the players. So we're still at about 11 months from then, and diving into summer ball and then getting the schedule ready and going through our season. It's just kind of been a whirlwind, and this time was just giving me some time to look back at some numbers and reflect on some seasons that the guys had, and how we can continue to grow. And I feel really fortunate to be where I'm at. I love being in Richmond. I love being a Model, and we got moved in February, so that made my life a lot easier. So now school is about 6 minutes away, as opposed to about 35 that I was doing for most of the season. So, that'll be a nice blessing when next season comes.
So you were in Nicholasville before, right?
Yeah, we were just like in kind of southern Lexington, northern Jessamine County at Brandon Crossing. And so, I was about a 35-minute drive. And the time that drive was the worst was, getting back from a road trip after a loss and on a weeknight, and then getting back home at midnight or something. And, coaches, we don't go straight to sleep when we get home. You got to process the game, and you're all amped up from it. Maybe you finally eat a late dinner, but, there were just not as much sleep last year as hopefully I'll get in the upcoming season.
Well, talk about your quarantine. Everybody's still, having to kind of stay at home, stay safe at home. And I've, following your Twitter feed, very active. I love that. I've seen you make the model court at your house on the outside goal. And you're doing this podcast. So let's talk about kind of what you're doing at home right now. And how long have you been doing your podcast?
Yeah, I'll talk about the podcast first. I got that Michael on last week, so you guys go check that out. It's called The Hoop House. Yeah, Michael and I was on there for episode 45. I started last summer in July. I tore my ACL in June, so that was another thing I was dealing with last summer. Had surgery a week after my son was born. So our family, we just kind of spent all of last summer in the house. So this really hasn't been much different from what we did last summer, unfortunately. But it was a really tough time, and I spent a lot of time laying in bed with my knee propped up, and so the podcast was kind of born out of that. My father-in-law has one about substitute teaching that he does. And so I was like, well, he does that. I'm sure that I can do one about sports. And I kind of started by myself, but I found that I don't really like listening to myself talk about stuff. So it's just a lot more fun. I've had guests on there, local sports people. My favorite one has been Maria Montgomery. She came on. She was a former Miss Kentucky. She's the lady that hosts down at Rupp Arena, graduate of EKU. So I like having her on. Then I have a couple guys that I just talk NBA with or sports like that. And I saw last night that Bryson Perry actually started up a podcast. It's called Outwork Productions. I haven't listened to the first episode, but it's kind of cool to see that, he's taking time to do that as well. We talk about whatever, but I like to have just different interesting people on that they can share it out with their friends. I was just talking to my friend from Texas this morning. I gave him a shout out in the last episode. And so it's just kind of a way to reminisce on old times and connect with people.
So has Bryson heard our episode yet where we talked about his jersey?
I don't know if he's listened yet. I tagged him in that tweet, so I would assume he's listened, but I haven't touched base with him yet.
He might be mad at us right now. I have to give him some time to cool off.
He knows it's the truth.
Well, so, being quarantined at home, again, we talked about your basketball court that you've made, and you're still having to do some teaching stuff. So what are you trying to do to just kind of keep yourself ready for when this is all over and you can get ready to be back to basketball?
Yeah, I spent some time on that court. It's probably one of the most productive things I've done while I've been at the house. It's not as much fun as staining the deck or something like that. But hopefully our guys have just kind of fell in love with outdoor basketball. I know that the Perry specifically, they got a court at their house. And I know I was texting with Ethan Bailey the other day, and I know he's still getting workouts in and getting shots up. And, I think it just kind of helps you appreciate the game. This is the time of year anyway when we kind of take a break, and we would have been doing open gyms, letting them play, but, it wouldn't have been real serious. And now in a month, we would have been trying to put in some stuff for the summer. But, hopefully our guys have just enjoyed this time and give them a better appreciation. I feel for guys like Cruz that, lost their baseball season and, they're going on to college after this. But those are the guys I really try to touch base with. I've texted with him and Josh quite a bit just to see how they're doing. Because I know what they're going through has got to be a lot harder than what I'm dealing with here at the house.
What is your goal for not only maybe next season, but for this program at Model? What do you want to do with this team as you look into next year and the years after that?
We were kind of given, a really competitive schedule going into last year. I added 2 or 3 games, kind of moved some stuff around, but there wasn't a whole lot I could do. And, it's not something I complain about. I think it made us tougher. I think it made us stronger. And I appreciated the way we responded to adversity. We had a really tough schedule in December. But we won 5 out of our last 7 regular season games going into postseason. It was disappointing to lose to Bree in the end. That was a game, felt like a team we could compete, team we could beat. And I really wish we hadn't let that first one against them slip away because I think that gave them a real confidence going into that game that they wouldn't have had. But, I think next year we'll shoot for, 15, 16 wins. We have a schedule that's going to be a little bit different. We're still playing area schools. We're still playing competitive. We got Central on the schedule next year, which will be exciting. We're playing all 3 district teams. Those games will be fun. We start with Estill County, or Friday night against Estill County in November. I think Black Friday. That was a team we had a really competitive game against at our Berea tournament. I felt like that's when we kind of realized how good we could be even though we lost. That was a team that had a good season, had Bent, who's a great player. And, I appreciate the way our guys stuck with the process. even though we had some tough stretches. And I think the way we finished the season, that's what I want us to be. I want us to, compete no matter what. We never quit. We had games where we were down 20, like against Lexington Catholic, and we make a big run in the third quarter and, make them put their starters back in, and it's under 10 with a few minutes left in the game. I think we really grew from that. And I think, having 3 of our 6 come back, we had guys like Bryce and Ethan and Nate that are going to make big jumps, I think, in their senior season. Kind of what Cruz did. I mean, Cruz only had 96 points as a junior, and then he had 460-something as a senior. So, we got half of our scoring, and we're in a lot better shape than what we were coming into this season.
How do you try to build your team around your point guard? Obviously, Bryson's going to come in as one of the top, 4 or 5 players in the district. He's going to come in as a guy that has, he's made some big shots. He made some big shots in that district tournament game. So how do you take him and what you saw from him last year and kind of build around him going into this season?
Yeah, we kind of just threw him in the fire last summer. It's like, we're going up against press. We don't have a bunch of press break. Let's see what you can do. And I think, even what he learned about himself in November and December, I think his assist to turnover ratio was 3-1 from January and February. He wasn't turning the ball over. He wasn't, taking any bad shots. He had a tendency to get sped up at times, but some of that was just out of a want-to of wanting to make a play for his team. It wasn't like a selfish kind of play. But we depend on him to get us in transition, to get easy ones, but also to set us up into something that's going to allow us to be more efficient offensively. We shot 45% last year, so I think we had a good field goal percentage. We took the right shots. There were just games where we had a couple-minute stretches where we struggled to score, and I think if we can spread people out next year, he'll be even better about attacking his man off the dribble. But I know he'll make growth going into his senior season, and I appreciate how hard he works, and I know he's been working hard this offseason. I've seen videos of him, and he was really looking forward to AAU, and so I know hopefully he gets a chance to play a little bit of that maybe in June and July, but we'll just have to see.
What are you hearing from maybe be your athletic director or the KHSAA in general about maybe plans moving forward into next year? Because, from what we're hearing, it's football season has not been touched yet, I believe, but they're, discussing maybe having to have games without fans and all this other stuff. Now, I don't know necessarily that would be such a big deal at the high school level. There might be a way that you can kind of spread those fans out. But what are you hearing as a head coach, from your AD, from the KHSAA about what their plans are with everything that's going on moving forward?
Yeah, I wish I had more to say, but I really haven't heard much. I get the random emails from Julian Tackett to send out to all coaches that just says we're still in a dead period and things like that. But there's coaches still scheduling summer games in June and inviting people, but we haven't committed to anything except the showcase at Collins. And that was just because they said they're only taking 64 teams, and we wanted to make sure we were going to be there, which is around Father's Day. And that's 2 months away. So maybe there's a chance that we would get to play in that. But I haven't committed us to anything else because I just don't know if it's going to happen. And then I haven't heard anything about the regular season. Our schedule is set with 30 games with, a December tournament and hopefully a trip to Florida that we're still working out the details too. But we're just kind of in the middle too. And, once football gets figured out, maybe that'll get some idea for basketball. But at least we don't have to worry about football guys missing basketball
That's
season
true.
for us. So if it gets pushed back, maybe we need to move some of those football schools to the beginning of our schedule, and they'll be without some of their players.
Well, I think it's just, especially as a sports fan right now, and you're a sports fan too, it's just weird to be a fan because you're not getting any of this stuff. You're not getting your normal NBA playoffs, which would have started this past weekend. You're not getting, the beginning of baseball season, and it's just a weird time to be a fan. So before we let you go, talk about your podcast one more time, where the folks can find it at, and if you want to maybe get some guests on there, feel free to give a little plug for that as well.
Yeah, as a fan, I love watching The Last Dance last night. It was great. Watching that, catching up on Michael Jordan, who I think is the GOAT. All these guys now, they haven't even seen Jordan play. They need to take this time to go back and watch some of his games, and hopefully this will inspire them. It's kind of a good for them, good learning experience. But my podcast is called The Hoop House. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. I think I've had 46 episodes now, so I'm trying to do a couple a week. still teaching from home, like you said. But you know, I just like to have interesting people on there and talk sports and get to know. So I'm going to try to have on another friend of mine at Boone County. He was the first year coach last year. We're going to schedule a podcast soon to kind of just talk about what we learned, you know, going through our first year of being a head coach and what that's like. You know, I just want to have something different for people to listen to. People, you know, we like to go out and go for drives right now. So it's just, you know, we went to the Nada Tunnel the other day. That's nothing I'd never seen before, even though I've lived in the state, you know. So if you're driving like that, you might as well have something on to listen to that kind of lets you spur a conversation with someone else. And, you know, it helps me be connected with other people while I'm quarantined in my house. And it's just the way that I would encourage other people to do it too. And it allows you to be kind of intentional about conversation and, you know, really get to know people.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time coming out. Look forward to covering model basketball next year. And hopefully you can get Bryson Perry a different jersey so he can enjoy that. And maybe it won't be as hard for him to keep it dry next season.
Yeah, it's okay. If he's sweating that much, that means he's playing hard.
That's exactly right. That's why we love him, right?
Yeah, I'd go get for anything right now.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck this upcoming year, and you and the family stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, and I appreciate your coverage of model.
Thank you, sir.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
So you guys have shown us a lot of love on Facebook and, of course, our website at WBONTV.com. So we're going to let you in on a little secret, our YouTube channel. It's where all the local stories are posted first for news, and you can even catch the live stream of any of your local high school sports on there as well. Be sure to subscribe, as well as clicking on the little bell for notifications. From when we post a video go live, you'll be the first to know. And don't be afraid to share and like a video. It really helps us out here at the studio to bring you the best in local news. And of course on Facebook, hit the See First button so we come up first when you're scrolling through your timeline.
American Pool & Spa wants you to swim and relax, and they're taking the proper precautions to keep their customers and employees safe. For pool supplies, visit AmericanPoolAndSpaKY.com and click on the Drop Click tab to shop online for curbside service or free local delivery within 15 miles. If you're interested in pool installation, American Pool & Spa in Richmond can set up a Zoom call for a virtual consultation. Stay safe and enjoy your time at home with help from American Pool & Spa in Richmond.
At CT Diesel Performance, they promise not to do anything to your vehicle that they wouldn't do to their own. Chris Thorne and the gang don't just work on diesel vehicles either. They also repair all auto gas vehicles and are fully serviced and ready to take on any job. Nothing is too big or too small for CT Diesel Performance. Located just off Exit 97, CT Diesel can even come get your car if you have a problem while driving down I-75. CT Diesel Performance in Richmond and at ctdiesel.us.
It had been. I think you could have flipped me upside down and mopped the floor with me the way my hair was growing so fast during this time. But got a little fresh cut yesterday, and we're ready to rock here. So we want to say thanks to Coach Morgerson, the new head coach at Model. Obviously, a good first year for them. Ended the season on a high note. The regular season obviously lost in the first round to Berea in the district tournament, but he's excited about his team coming back. And I thought it was a good time to get him on this show because now is the time for you and I to do our model draft. And so last week we did our Berea draft. Team A was my team. Team B was your team. And a lot of votes. And, you know, we had Coach Swords and Cameron Jackson, who was the former coach at Berea, kind of weigh in on some of their thoughts. The former athletic director, Luke Wright, and the current AD, Jerry Bingham, also kind of chimed in. We've seen some former coaches who competed against those teams give some of their thoughts as well. So it was a lot of fun seeing everybody kind of put their input on. And Team A did outvote Team B, but it was very close. And I think that's kind of what we saw from most of the people that commented and followed these guys throughout the last 10 years was that the two teams were very, very evenly matched.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, obviously this gives us something to talk about, but it's really engaging for people who've been around these programs even more than you and I have, to give people something to talk about. And how cool is it if you're one of these guys that gets picked, say, oh, I went in a fantasy draft on a TV show. So hopefully that's cool for them, assuming that they like the guys I pair them with.
Yeah, well, so I had Caleb Clowers, I had DeAndre Tate, Ben Miller, Shaheem Alexander, and my boy Timmy Thompson. You had Jalen Dorsey, Barry Scudder Davis, Tristan Duckworth, David Gadd, and Tylen Hall. So those were the rosters for Team A and Team B last week. Now we enter the draft for this week, and it's going to be our model draft. And I got to give some credit to Coach Wes Scarberry, who's now an assistant coach over at Frederick Douglass. He was the longtime coach at Model, and he really, really helped me out. And again, I've only been covering the local sports scene for about the last 5 or 6 years. You've been around it for a while, but even when I came on, we didn't really cover Model a whole lot. It was just over the last 2 or 3 seasons that we were kind of able to get over there and do some games. It's hard because their gym is not as big as a Madison Central or a Madison Southern. It's hard for us to get over there and find a place to set up. We did our first TV game over there this year with the Berea game. What a crowd that was. What an atmosphere. And to me, I think when you've got those smaller gyms, it can kind of create a better atmosphere because everybody's kind of packed in. And it made the game, I think, that much more emotional for those 2 teams. And on the boys' side, Berea able to end a long losing streak to Model this season. So it was a very fun game. Look forward to getting back over there, hopefully this year, and doing some more TV and radio games for the Model Patriots.
Yeah, and I completely agree about the atmosphere. The smaller gym, the tighter you get everybody in, the more crowded it feels. I mean, that's what we see a lot of college gyms now that are decreasing seats. Rep Arena took seats out this year.
Yeah.
To part of that was putting seat backs on, but you got a better chance of packing it out. You got a better chance of having a raucous crowd, and I think that's what we've seen at Model and at Berea, especially in these district games.
Yeah, and I think too when you look at the way some of these teams, they don't have a lot of students. They don't have a lot of fans that can come to the game, but the ones that do and the ones that pack the gym, they don't stop screaming and yelling until that game is over with. So I think that also kind of helps create the atmosphere as well.
Yeah, they don't have any blue hair, lower bowl people like Rep Arena has that get mad and ask people to sit down in front of them and read their newspaper during conference games. So you don't get that in a high school gym.
Well, let's jump into our model draft. And last week you had the first selection for the Berea draft, and you took Jalen Dorsey, who is, very, very good for the Pirates. He's a guy that's on the team right now. He'll be a senior entering next year. When I first started doing games here with WBON and with the radio station, one of the first kids that I caught that caught my eye was Ephraim Otieno, who is the all-time leading scorer at Model. With my first selection in the Model draft, I'm going to take Otieno. I remember his senior year against the Madison Southern Eagles. The kid dropped 42 points in an overtime win for Model over Madison Southern, and that guy could flat fill it up. He was similar to Timmy Thompson, that he was almost too fast for his own good, but he was really, really fast. I mean, this kid, if he got the ball and he had space, you were not going to catch him. Would have loved to have seen him holding the football on a football field somewhere, but he's a really good soccer player. And Otieno, my first overall pick in the Model draft, the all-time leading scorer, and a kid that I was super impressed with to see him drop 42 points in a win over Madison Southern his senior year.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep up with you scoring. Obviously, you're going to put up a lot of points. I'm going to take Dennis Smith with my first pick. Really, you can go to him and get a bucket in a number of different ways, put up big numbers really throughout his career at Model. So if I'm going to try to keep up with your points, I'm going to have to get Dennis Smith first and build around him.
Well, when I talked to Coach Scarberry, he said that Smith would definitely be one of his top 5 players during his time there for sure. So Smith, a great selection. I was looking up some of the numbers he had. He had some big games against Berea during his time at Model. And not only did he have him his senior year, he went back to his junior and sophomore years. The kid could really score. So I'm going to have the all-time leading scorer. You're going to have Dennis Smith, who could also really put up some points. But speaking of putting up points, Adam Lewis Durham put up 22.8 points per game his senior year. He went to play college basketball last year. The name of the school kind of escapes me right now. But I played some pickup ball with Lewis Durham over the summertime, and this guy can really, really score. He could shoot. he was almost, I think, undersized while he was in high school. I think he had actually a little growth spurt before he entered college. But the guy, again, he can score. A lot of guys from Model can score or have been able to score over this time. So my point guard, Otieno, one of my wing guys, Adam Lewis Durham, who just graduated in 2019, who put up 22.8 points per game during his senior season for Coach Scarberry.
I'm going to go big next. I feel like Smith's going to handle the ball and the share of the shooting load. I'm going to go with Alex Chin. Really good post player, can score in there, good compliment to Smith. Also pretty good touch for a big guy, good shooter. Over the court, we're doing this for the last decade, right? This isn't
it's over the last 10 years.
The last 10 years, if you just look at that window, Alex Chin's the all-time rebound leader at Model. So he's going to clean up the glass. He's going to create space with a shooting touch, and he's going to defend the paint for me.
Yeah, and Chin was a guy that could stretch the floor. He could shoot, 10 to 15 feet out, a guy that could really rebound. I mean, he had some big rebounding games. And I remember covering him and Otieno when they were seniors, and they just, Otieno wasn't a great shooter, but him and Chin complemented each other pretty well with that inside-outside game. And those two guys, I wish they had a little bit – if they could have had one more guy that could kind of help facilitate the scoring load, those two guys, they could have had a really, really good team at Model. And, Chin, one of the top maybe 10, 15 players over the last 10 years, and the same for Otieno. Those guys could really, really put up some points and had some big numbers their senior year. So you've got thus far Dennis Smith and Alex Chin. I've got Otieno and Adam Lewis Durham. I think it's pretty easy for me to make my next selection a guy that I've actually become buddies with, John Tracy Ballard, who was a guy, and I played pickup ball with John a lot. I played on some church league teams with him. He can do absolutely everything on the floor. Mr. Fundamental. That's what I mean. Tim Duncan is that. Well, that's what John Tracy Ballard is as well. He can shoot. He can defend. He's long. He's athletic. And he's just a guy that didn't make many mistakes. Really, really good basketball player. Ballard averaged 15 points per game, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Just an overall outstanding basketball player, giving me some length and some size down low to kind of go up against Alex Chin. My 3 guys thus far are Otieno, Adam Lewis Durham, and John Ballard.
All right. And I'm assuming he can do it all. If he's playing on a team with you, if it's going to be successful, he's got to be able to compensate, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He does those things.
My lack of shooting, the only thing I can pretty much do now is talk a little trash and get some water for the guys. So
that's very nice of you. You mentioned earlier if the team with Chen could have had a facilitator, and that's exactly where I'm going. I'm going with Anthony Gerald, who has the most assists in a single season during this time frame that we're talking about for Model. He was the MVP of the All-A regional tournament when he played at Model his senior year, and he's gonna facilitate for me. He's gonna get the ball to Smith. He's gonna set him up for good looks, and he's gonna drive the ball and kick out to Chen for 12-footers. And play solid defense on your guards.
Yeah, and Gerald was a guy that was a leader. He put the guys in the right spots. He made the right plays. And as a coach, you got to love that. So for you to put him with your scoring option, Dennis Smith, with a guy in the post and Alex Chin, you got a lot to build around right there with Anthony Gerald. Again, it was the MVP of the All-A regional tournament in 2013. I'm going to take Will Fees. Fees is a guy who's playing college basketball. His younger brother on the team at Model right now. Fees just graduated a couple of years ago and was just one of those guys who, again, had a lot of length. He was long, athletic, averaged 12 and 10 as a senior, and a guy who was a very good complementary player. I'm going to have Otieno kind of, being my scorer along with Adam Lewis Durham. And then I'm going to have John Tracy Ballard and Will Fees providing the length and the athleticism down low to kind of go up against a guy like Alex Chin.
Yeah, similar to me, I'm going to go with a glue guy. I'm going to go with an energy guy. I feel like the skill sets are there. I just need somebody there to step up and make a defensive play when I need him. I'm going to go with Jesse Middleton. He's second rebounding during this 2 Chen. So I've got the 2 leading rebounders during the time frame we're talking about. In 2013, Jesse Middleton led the state in charges taken. So he's a guy that's going to do whatever it takes. He's going to defend. He's going to get beat up, whatever he needs to do to help my team beat your team. I also used to work for his mother. Never saw her take a charge, but she was tough as well.
Well, maybe if you don't pick her, she might be giving you, or if you don't pick him, she might be giving you a call or something. But you talked about taking charges. I'm assuming Austin Newton would love to have a guy like Jesse
yeah.
Middleton on his basketball team right now, right?
Oh yeah, that's certainly his philosophy, and they have charts in their locker rooms and those kind of things. In some ways, Middleton was kind of ahead of his time around here.
So Middleton, again, graduated in 2013. He led the state in charges taken that year, and Jamie selecting him, who was the second leading rebounder to Alex Chin during this time. So you've got basically, if a shot is missed from my team, you are going to get the rebound with your squad.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're cleaning up the glass.
I'm going to take Hunter Connor. You know, talking to Coach Scarberry, he talked about how good Connor was defensively. He even went as far to say that Connor was the best defender that he coached during his time. And he also said that he was a 4-year starter and a great leader. So Hunter Connor is going to be my wing player to go up against and kind of try to defend a guy like Dennis Smith.
Okay, I'm going to get another scoring option. Zach Rice-Gordon averaged 20 points and 9 rebounds as a senior in 2014. He can score the basketball, obviously clean up the glass. You're not going to get a single rebound. My guy averaged nearly a double-double, and here he is the 10th pick. And it's hard to get a player like that. So to get him that late, I can't pass him up. I got to have him as the complementary piece to what I already have.
Well, here's what Coach Scarberry said about Zach Rice-Gordon. He was class of 2014. He averaged, again, as you said, 29 as a senior. He started on the All-A team and was the best talent that he coached at Model. So you have got another stud to put on your team there with the Patriots here in our Model draft. So those lineups, we'll put those rosters together and make a Facebook post like we did last week for our Berea boys team. And we will have you all comment which team you think would win between Jamie's team and my team. We'll put those rosters up and to have the folks kind of collaborate and see who they think would be the winner of our model draft here on the Sports Show. Once again, thank you to CT Diesel Performance and the Law Office of Patrick O'Neill. Take one more commercial break and come back here on the Sports Show live on WBONTV.com.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
So you guys have shown us a lot of love on Facebook and, of course, our website at WBONTV.com. So we're going to let you in on a little secret, our YouTube channel. It's where all the local stories are posted first for news, and you can even catch the live stream of any of your local high school sports on there as well. Be sure to subscribe, as well as clicking on the little bell for notifications. For when we post a video go live, you'll be the first to know. And don't be afraid to share and like a video. It really helps us out here at the studio to bring you the best in local news. And of course on Facebook, hit the See First button so we come up first when you're scrolling through your timeline.
American Pool and Spa wants you to swim and relax, and they're taking the proper precautions to keep their customers and employees safe. For pool supplies, visit AmericanPoolandSpaKY.com and click on the Drop Click tab to shop online for curbside service or free local delivery within 15 miles. If you're interested in pool installation, American Pool and Spa in Richmond can set up a Zoom call for a virtual consultation. Stay safe and enjoy your time at home with help from American Pool and Spa in Richmond.
At CT Diesel Performance, they promise not to do anything to your vehicle that they wouldn't do to their own. Chris Thorne and the gang don't just work on diesel vehicles either. They also repair all auto gas vehicles and are fully serviced and ready to take on any job. Nothing is too big or too small for CT Diesel Performance. Located just off Exit 97, CT Diesel can even come get your car if you have a problem while driving down I-75. CT Diesel Performance in Richmond and at ctdiesel.us.
We are back here on the Sports Show for WBON TV. Again, a special thank you to our great sponsors, the Law Office of Patrick O'Neill, located in Breathitt County, but you can give them a call at 606-666-2990, or with CT Diesel Performance. Your car still needs to be worked on during this time. Check out CT Diesel Performance, and they'll take good care of you. Off Exit 90 in Richmond. You can give them a call, or check out their website, ctdiesel.us. Chris Thorne played sports at Madison Southern. He's a Berea guy. He will take care of you and your vehicle. That's Chris Thorne with CT Diesel Performance. Performance, not performance. Performance is what's going to get you in trouble, Jamie. So don't be messing up, all right?
I'm working hard. No performance here.
Well, so we've talked about Kentucky obviously early on in the show, and I want to say thank you to John Morgerson, the head coach at Model, for coming on talking about the Patriots and kind of what he's doing during this quarantine time. And he talked about Kentucky a little bit. Well, I actually joined his podcast earlier this week, the Hoop House podcast, where he talks pretty much all things basketball. He's had some pretty cool guests on his show as well that he does. And with what we've been talking about early on in the show with Kentucky, it was kind of a scary situation for the Cats on if Terrence Clark might enter the G League. You know, Rod Strickland, a guy that was pretty good with Cal, a former assistant coach that got in trouble several years ago. But Clark was a guy that was maybe potentially going to enter the G League, who was trying to get some of these college recruits to come in. And he ended up saying he was going to stay with Kentucky. Big sigh of relief for Wildcat fans. But, Jamie, over the next few years, this could be a very big issue for teams that have some guys coming in that the G League can offer money to.
Yeah, so based on what I've been reading, many people had thought that the one-and-done rule was going to go away in 2022. It seems, with everything going on, that's going to be pushed back to the next collective bargaining agreement in the NBA. So it could be 2026 before we see that come back around. So what they're doing right now is the G League. This isn't just like G League probably makes $100,000, but they're playing in the middle of Iowa, out in Arkansas every day. Like it's not a glamorous lifestyle.
Yeah.
But what they're doing now for these guys, and they've gotten 2 committed already for this year. They were high school freshmen, Jalen Green and Isaiah Todd, who had committed to Michigan. Both guys that Cal backed off of about 6 months ago, by the way. So I think he knew this was coming. But they're getting more like Jalen Green's getting $500,000. And they're going to be in LA, and they're going to be on a special team that just kind of almost like a showcase team. They don't play in the G League against other G League teams. They may have some games that include those teams. They're going to play some international teams. So it sounds like it's more of a glamorous lifestyle. Now, Green is making $500,000. Everybody might not make that. Isaiah Todd might make $300,000, but that's still better than what you would make playing anywhere but Duke, right? So I don't know if this is going to – how many guys are they going to go after? Are they going to go after the top 10 or 12 guys? If so, do they get a lot of them? Or do they go after 50 guys and try to create their own little developmental league for high school seniors? I think that could be a problem. I think if they're just taking 2 or 3 of the top guys in the draft, I don't think that's going to be an issue long term.
Yeah, I think they're going to, as you said, go after some of the big guys. But if they only get a couple of them, I think that won't be as big of a deal. But I think with the ties that Coach Cal has, it will allow him to kind of stay ahead of this stuff, know who they're going after, know who's kind of leaning toward doing that. And as you said, he backed off those 2 guys earlier on. It might give him a chance to kind of back off guys that he thinks he doesn't have a shot at because they're going to, first of all, maybe need this money more and will go on and take the money and go into the G League.
And he's always been supportive of his guys leaving because they need to support their families. So I think he understands that as well as anybody and wouldn't hold it against them and wouldn't pressure them, say, you know what, you take care of your family or whatever. But I do think it'll be interesting how he changes his approach, which, I mean, the one-and-done rule has not been there forever. Sean Kemp showed up at Kentucky and then decided not to go to college and went to the NBA. So people recruited Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant to college. They didn't come. Like, this is not a brand new thing.
Yeah.
It's just new, I guess, a more recent development.
Yeah, and you know, you look at some of the guys that Cal has pushed away. I feel like they didn't really fit him once he got them here. Mm-hmm. And now with this new thing that's going on, I think it'll actually make him have to work a little bit more to figure out, hey, these guys are a better fit. These are the guys who I have to focus on. You know, one thing that's not really talked about a whole lot is how much longer do you see Cal doing this?
It's an excellent question. I felt like when Brad Calipari committed, that was 4-year insurance, but he transferred away. Brad's gone, so the timeline's kind of off for me. I could see him doing another 5 years. I don't think he's going to coach into his 80s or anything crazy like that, like some of these guys do. I think we got about 5 or 6 more years of Cal, and then he's going to run for president or something crazy. I don't think he's going to go to another college. He may go to a front office role as a GM, but I don't even think he's going to coach in the NBA. I think he's going to retire from coaching and put his time elsewhere. What do you think? Do you think there's a longer, shorter?
No, I think that's probably a good timeline. I think it just depends on the success of the team too, because I think, you know, at a certain point, you know, the older you get, the harder it is to kind of to deal with some of these young guys, especially in this day and age where there's so many more things that can take their attention and take their time. I think once you get a little bit older, you don't want to deal with that stuff anymore. And I think Cal might reach that a little bit sooner than we would have hoped. Now, tomorrow, you and I have got an interview with a guy who might be in line to potentially take that next step as a head coach. Not sure if Kentucky would be a good place to begin your college coaching career, but tomorrow you have secured an interview with Joel Justice. Did I say that right?
Justice. Yeah.
Justice. So Joel Justice. We'll have an interview with him tomorrow that we will play on next week's show. That'll be a lot of fun, and maybe we can dive into some more of this G League talk with him tomorrow.
Yeah, and I want to ask him a lot of things, but one way I think Cal might combat this, we're seeing now, it was a big deal when he took Reed Travis 2 years ago. Cal doesn't take graduate transfers. Now we've got one of them. We've got a sophomore transfer, and we're looking for another graduate transfer. Yeah. That seems to be how he's looking to fill the gaps. And if there's talk of the NCAA doing a free one-time transfer rule, so you can transfer one time, be immediately eligible. If Cal can go and pick up the best players from wherever he wants and then be eligible immediately, that changes everything. And it might put new life into him to keep him coaching an extra couple of years too.
Yeah, and I think that'll be fun too. If they do that now, it could be crazy for everybody involved, but it could also be very interesting to see how that shakes out with Cal and some of these guys that we could be losing or we could be bringing back into the Wildcats. One beats a guy that he missed out on that went to a Duke or a Kansas, and he's like, you know what, Coach Cal, I messed up. I want to come to Kentucky, and then gets his shot to play for the Wildcats. That would be very interesting to see how that all plays out.
It would, and I don't know, I think everybody fears it being the Wild West, and you talk about tampering in the BA. What are the rules going to be about recruiting kids from other teams? And all that's going to be crazy to figure out, but there will be a system in place. It's not like they're just going to click a button and say, everybody go. So, yeah. And he's going to use that system to benefit Kentucky, and he'll do it well.
Well, Jamie, I appreciate your time once again, my man. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. Tomorrow on the Pinnacle, what have we got?
Yeah, so Tristan was on today. Do you want to come early in the morning? I start at 7. Do you want to come on?
No.
Yeah, trying to, like I said last week, just trying to keep it positive. There's so much negativity out there, so we've been trying to find 3 or 4 positive stories a day, locally and nationally across the world, share those with the community, and trying to get people interacting online like we're doing with these drafts. Try to get people talking, sharing. What are you doing to pass the time? What's something you've learned? Let's help each other out and encourage each other during this time, and that's what the show is going to be focused on.
That'll be tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 106.7 The Pinnacle. Thank you, my man. Appreciate it. And once again, thank you to our great sponsor, CT Diesel Performance. Check them out online at ctdiesel.us or the law office of Patrick O'Neill, located in Breathitt County, but he serves all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. Give him a call at 606-666-2990. For Jamie Boggs and John Morgerson, the head coach at the Model Patriots, I'm Michael Watkins. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe, everybody, and wash those hands from all of us here at WBONTV.com.